You've been told to show, not tell. Don't write she was nervous, show her hands, show the cup she keeps refilling, show the sentence she types and then deletes. And that advice is right, mostly, but a lot of writers follow it carefully and still end up with prose that feels thin. They do everything correctly and it still doesn't work. And the assumption is, I need more practice. Maybe, but probably that's not the actual problem. Hi, I'm Andrea, the founder of bibisco, the novel writing software downloaded by more than 200,000 writers around the world. What I want to show you in this video is something that tends to stay buried in Hemingway's actual words, not the version that gets taught everywhere. When you see it, something shifts. You stop trying to fix your sentences, you start building something else entirely, and the writing follows from that. Hemingway's iceberg theory gets mentioned constantly, every craft book, every course, and what gets taught is write spare prose, cut the explanation, trust the reader. That part is true, but Hemingway wrote something else in Death in the Afternoon that almost nobody quotes directly. He said, if a writer of prose knows enough of what he is writing about, he may omit things that he knows, and the reader, if the writer is writing truly enough, will have a feeling of those things as strongly as though the writer has stated them. And then, a few lines later, he adds the part that changes everything. A writer omits things because he does not know them, only makes hollow places in his writing. So what is the message? You can't omit what you don't know. You can only leave a gap. Show don't tell is not a style you apply. It's what happens after you have done something else first. An iceberg is 90% underwater. What you see, the tip has weight, as mass as presence, because of everything beneath it. That's not a metaphor for how to write sentences, it's a metaphor for how to prepare. Hemingway was saying, your story on the page is the tip, the other 90% is everything you never write down. The history, the quiet break, the reason a character goes silent in certain conversation and not others. The logic that holds the whole world together beneath the surface. All of that must exist somewhere in your mind, in your notes, because you need to know it, even if the reader never will, because that knowledge is what gives the prose its weight. When Hemingway's characters speak in short, flat sentences, you feel a lifetime in those words. You can't quite explain it. That's because Hemingway knew things about those people that he never wrote down. He built the iceberg first. Most writers do it the other way around, and that's worth looking at more closely. Think about the last time you wrote a scene and it felt off. You showed not told, you kept it spare, you followed the rules, and something still didn't land. Here's what was probably happening. Show and tell is an instruction about output, about what goes on the page, but it assumes something. It assumes you already know deeply who these people are, why they move the way they move, what they are afraid to say out loud. If you don't know why your character is silent in that scene, not the surface reason, the real one, the one they would never admit even to themselves, then no amount of careful prose will fill that space. Readers feel the absence, even when they can't name it. This is, I think, the central misunderstanding around Hemingway's theory. Learns it as a writing rule. It's actually a preparation rule. If this is shifting something for you, leaving a like helps this reach other writers who are dealing with the same thing. And subscribing means you will see the rest of this series which connects to this. Bibisco does this too, not just the writing, but the building that comes before it, the part that prose will eventually carry. In Bibisco, every character has a full profile, not just name and physical description, psychology, formative history, the wound that shaped how they move through the world, their contradictions, their relationship to every other character in the story. You build the 90%. Then, when you open a scene, when you sit down to write that character speaking or going silent or picking up a phone and then putting it back, you are not inventing them from scratch. You are surfacing what you already know. The same is true for location, for the story's timeline, for research. Everything lives in one place, connected, accessible. You are not starting from zero every time you open a scene. You are drawing from a structure that already exists. Hemingway wasn't teaching you to write less, he was teaching you to know more. The spare sentences, the things left unsaid, those are consequences, not a technique you apply to a first draft. Build the iceberg first. You'll find that you hesitate less when you write. You don't stop mid-scene to reconstruct who someone is. You stay inside the story longer. That's the shift. So if you want to try this with your own novel, download Bibisco using the link in the description. Happy writing and see you in the next video.